What's up? Okay, the meaning of communication is the response you get. This is the next presupposition I want to talk about. The meaning of communication is in the response that you receive, the response that you get. So let's talk about this. So first off, it is the meaning of communication, not the definition of communication. So let's bring that side to the side for a second. Let's talk about its meaning. Like when you communicate to another, how do you know your communication has been received? Like how do you define the success of the communication? The meaning of communication, I guess, is how they said it when I learned this statement. But here's what it generally talks to. When you communicate to another person, you have no comprehension unless you check in of how that information was received. And this happens all the time. You know, I used to, in the days of managing other people, I did this, and I had no clue what I was doing then. But I did this thing where I multiple times, I had them think of one word. Like, for example, the word cat, C-A-T. So you right now think of a cat, okay? Now, I don't know what kind of cat you're thinking of. Maybe it's a calico kitten. Maybe it's your pet. Maybe it's, who knows? But maybe it's an ocelot, right? I was thinking of lion. But what I want you to notice is one word creates so many different possibilities. One word. And I would do this in my management team. You can imagine. They're like, what's happening to me? At the same time, I would do things where I would have everyone draw what I was describing and put everyone's picture, and there were like 20 on a wall. And as a result, everyone looks different. So the meaning of communication is in the response you get. So you may want to communicate something, but unless you understand that we as human beings process information differently, some of us are more favored visually, auditorially, kinesthetically. Some are more audio-digitally. Like, these are words that communicate how we process information. We also delete, distort, and generalize all things. Remember, think of the concept of the word cat. So when you tell me to do, even this whole statement I'm telling you, you can watch it again and again and again and get something different each and every time. Because in the act of communicating, so much is lost from one thing to the other thing. So the way you can gauge if your communication was received is in the response you see from the other thing or the other person. So again, in my days of managing, I would tell someone to do something in a kind way, and then I would say, now, do me a favor and tell me back what you're going to do. And almost every time they could not communicate what I told them, which was very helpful, because if I just let them go, they do what they thought and we're not in alignment. So you look at the response. Now, if you're a reader of subconscious cues, this is very helpful, but you can listen in words. You can look at actions. If you do not see something happening in the way that you wanted it to, it was because the communication wasn't received appropriately. So the meaning of communication is in the response you get. Look at the response and then adjust so you can make it more in alignment with what you want.